I am from Forestell, oldest of 6. My kid brothers and my kid sister played hockey over at the roller hockey rink in Warrenton. I still can't get the smell out of my nostrils. This is my backyard when I heard that there was some data center stuff. But really, most importantly, that residents here in this community felt that their opinions and their voices were not being heard by their leadership. That's when we kind of step in. I am an environmental chemist by education. I started off my career as an environmental chemist working over at the Illinois EPA, where we tested water samples for environmental contaminants that had been dumped by big corporate polluters. I spent the first 10 years of my career working with whole grain and soybeans and corn, helping producers and farmers test their crops. Over the past 10 years, I've been working in infrastructure, primarily water and energy infrastructure. And I still have that environmental bend. I think we can be very pro-business, take care of our communities, and not deplete our resources and our families and our will to make that happen. So we were approached by a couple of the families, some families that have known me or members of my family for quite some time, just to tell us about some of the issues that were happening here with some of the data centers that are planned. It has been something that we've seen throughout the country in different forms, but it seems to be expedited a little bit here in Missouri, and that has us a little concerned. I brought my friend Stacy here. She's over in Osage County. Stacy, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Stephanie Bax, and I'm running for House District 61, which is covers Montgomery County. And I had caught with what was happening in our county, and I instantly wanted to learn more about it. And the more I started learning, the more concerned I was. And I had reached out to Westmoreland, who's a friend of mine, and asked him if he knew about the data centers, and that's kind of how he got us connected, and we've been working on this and trying to we want to hear your stories, and we want to know how we can help, and that's what we're really here for.
Yep. We put together a presentation based on some questions that we had already received from some families who are having some technical trouble and we can't get the projector working. We're going to have that information available to you after this meeting, so if you leave your email address, we will send that to you. And we also have a repository of information. That's one thing that we keep hearing is we don't know what to ask because there's not a lot of good information out there. So we put some of our researchers together to put down questions about the environment, hazardous waste, what experiences have been in other communities where data centers have been built. And I hope that that's a useful tool for you. I wish we could show you the slides, and this is our first time at the venue, so we weren't sure quite what to expect. I am a firm believer that the government works best when we, the people, let our voices be heard, and that our elected representatives follow the will of the people. And sadly, sometimes that just doesn't happen. And this is not designed to be anything partisan at all. This is a community forum for you to have your voice. And so we had heard some feedback from people that they felt a little nervous about asking questions. And so we're going to have the opportunity for you to ask questions and do a microphone tonight. To share your stories, and we also have these note cards that are circulating around. If you want to ask something anonymously, you have that avenue as well. Any of the questions that we go over, I know some things about some things, but I'm not an expert in anything. Or I'm not an expert in all of the things, so if there's something that I don't know, I'm really good at saying I don't know, but we can find an answer for you, and then we will follow up for you as well. So the questions that are asked tonight will get answered, and we will make sure that that's available to the community.
Absolutely.
So with that said, how do we want to start it?
Do we want to start with questions?
Do we want to start with some questions?
I will.
Great.
I don't think I need that, but what's the percentage of a chance we can stop these? That's where I'm at. I know what they do to everything. Illinois the state is even coming out saying how bad it's destroying their resources. So what's our percent? Is there a petition? Have we taken the petition signed with all of our signatures to Warrenton? How do we, we can all talk about it and tell our stories, but how do we stop it?
No, that's a really good question. There are some things that have been proposed in some different states with some different coalitions where they have put together moratoriums on data centers like they have in St. Charles County. One of the things that we're running into is the executive branch of the government wants to pass these with no exception and with no regulation other than that there will be a singular technology company that will be providing the government with those services. We do have a bid process in place in our federal government. I mean, we can say all you want about wasteful government spending and what contractors think. There is still a bid process, so that singular vendor thing is a little maybe not legal. But one of the ways that we can enact change, one of the ways that you guys have been very powerful is just showing up. The pushback from communities who are showing up and getting involved the way that you have, that is putting the pressure on their elected representatives to start following some of the will. You guys might not see it here because there are some leaders who think they've got such a stranglehold that we will just have to do whatever they say because we elected them, and that certainly is not the case. As we keep continuing coming out to the meetings, as we keep putting pressure on our representatives, it sends a message to the other reps in the other counties that they might be worrying about a primary that they didn't anticipate, and that's the only way you can stop it. That's a really long answer to saying we need to appeal to the people in power and let them know that if they don't work for us, they're not going to have their jobs anymore. And that is how you stop it, is you stop it through recall petitions, which I understand can be difficult if you're a class 4 municipality, but there are ways to file ethics complaints and to slow down and even stop by getting those representatives out of office.
Bethany, we also have these cards that if you don't feel comfortable with asking your question verbally, you can, Zane has them, and he will hand you one. So we'll go to you. And also, if you'll identify yourself, like I'm Jenny Hickerson, and I'm in St. Peters. Just let us know where you're from.
I'm Darlene Heinlein. My family bought a farm in 1954, and so that's been where I lived, or I don't live there now, but I've owned from that. I've owned from that time. So I'm a Warren County resident, been here a long time. I have the concern as well, and I know there's been a lot of conversation. All of this has been going on for a long time without anybody knowing about it. So it's far down the road, and I am concerned, is it possible to stop it? But the other thing is, I think our best bet is to work our hardest to put in the guidelines that we need. And I had been looking at someone that was speaking about the newest data centers. And my biggest concern as well, one of them, is the water. And I know that the aquifer is not replenishing. It's ridiculous. It's from the Ice Age. It's been in there a long time, and we're just using it up. So I heard that the closed-loop systems are quite good in that they use a limited amount of water, and that they recycle that water for years. And what I would like to see is that we do some research about what we tell people they have to do if they're going to do this.
Oh, that's a really good insight. There are 4 different types of data centers, and this is going to be all in the presentation. We have everything from the edge data centers all to the big hyperloop ones. And one of the ways that communities have had a say And what happens with the data centers is making sure that they put in regulations that offer some protections, whether they're discharge permits that give you different levels that you have to stay under for certain contaminants, whether it's limiting the water usage, or making sure, and this is a little tricky, that the utilities and the corporations paying for these upgrades are actually paying for the upgrades instead of taxpayers. With the different types of data center sizes, one of the things you do need to be concerned about with those smaller closed loop systems is some of the ways that they cool those systems, and also the hazardous waste that has to be incinerated or disposed of. So those are things that have to be taken into account. And you're right, the aquifer as we know it, as a lot of the geologists in the area have said, it is not replenishing, and it's all fun and games until all of our families have to go buy water from Walmart every 3 days, like we're hearing stories out of West Virginia and also Michigan. So yes, regulations involving water protection, the impact on the grid, those are all important things. And then as far as, the woman back here also asked that question about what can we do. There are some federal Congress and senators who are taking an interest in this at the federal level. Senator Sanders out of Massachusetts has proposed a nationwide data center ban until we figure out what our environmentally and national security the data centers that are going in don't have national security concerns as well too. So one thing that you can do right now is reach out to Senators Hawley and Schmidt and ask them to support that data center ban that's being proposed by Senator Sanders. Hi, Josh.
Just to follow up, the first lady who asked the question about what could be done. What I have looked at in local code and state law, I don't see any mechanism in place to deny the data center, and moratorium is not denying, that's a pause. So, can you respond any more clearly to that other than, telling elected officials to do something different, which would be state level or federal level? The moratorium, you're right, it is a pause. And, the general consensus, Josh, not just among developers, is we have an issue with our technology infrastructure, that we need that expansion, we need that security, but we don't need it to happen at the expense of government transparency and accountability. And that really is that sticking point. The original plans for the data centers came out of a project that was proposed, I want to say about 10 years ago, and it was a Heartland Energy project. And it was a project that was designed to upgrade your broadband, so we aren't dealing with our old internet infrastructure. It was to make sure that farmers had the support that they needed, because things have been really hard on the farm lately. A farmer, their biggest cost is the chemicals that they put in their field, the amount of money it takes to fix their equipment, and that doesn't count the cancer treatments they probably have to deal with as well too. So this initiative was supposed to provide that, as well as clean water upgrades. And what happened with the new administration is they took all of that funding and they just diverted it to mining, mineral, and oil and gas pipeline outfits. And so that's where kind of the bait and switch happened. So these discussion on building out technical infrastructure and water infrastructure has been around for a while, and there was a little bit of a bait and switch. So we know that we need to expand our technology infrastructure. The scientists and the computer engineers say that we need the capacity for the data generation as the internet has expanded and we use it for more things. The manufacturing and automation space has said that they need it because they can automate so much with it. And we know that there are pretty big environmental, even just using ChatGPT for 10 prompts uses a gallon of water. And so if you're looking at conservation and making sure that you're taking care of your resource, then, we have to think about what is economically practical, and any infrastructure build-outs like that should happen with input from the people. And that sticking point is that government transparency. If you don't have that transparency from your elected officials, it's really a non-starter for stopping anything, because you don't know whether or not they're telling you is the truth, so you don't even know what to fight for. And so that's part of what makes it tricky. Will we need data centers? Yeah. Should we give up our Missouri farmland for it? I don't think so. But you guys are the ones who are closer to all of this. Is there something that you found that could help?
No, I said when I looked into it, there's no mechanism
Yeah.
to prevent any business, data center or otherwise. No mechanism that I found to prevent a data center or any other type of business from setting up business. There's really also no mechanism for citizenry to review any company's permits. That's contained within planning, zoning, and permit review processes. So I haven't found anything. And following up on the comment about water use, Missouri does not regulate what you can take out of the ground at all. So there's no basis to deny anything based on water consumption or even regulate around water consumption.
Yeah, and it looks like the DNR is also looking at some massive budget cuts. They've been told to be fully independent from the federal government starting January 1 of this year. So it's...
I mean, those are two different things though.
Yeah.
DNR monitors wells, but they don't regulate extraction rates.
Right. And then with the feds who used to, before the Supreme Court decision, there is no mechanism for enforcement. You're right.
I don't think there was a federal mechanism before. What court case are you talking about? Was there a mechanism in place? I'm not aware of that.
Well, there was jurisdiction for the federal government to go in and fine and even stop or limit polluters from dumping.
That's polluting, not extraction.
That's true. Yeah, no, that's good. This is going to be one of those that I've got. No, it's good.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, this is good. This is another case of I don't know all the answers, and I appreciate you bringing that up, because we should have a mechanism, right? Wouldn't you think that we would have a mechanism to come in and stop a business that is going to contaminate our groundwater and
Take it all.
I feel like we the people should have some sort of say, but I'm old-fashioned that way. I've got a gentleman up here. Oh, yeah, okay.
My name's Sean, lived in Warrenton since 2019. Less of a question, more of a statement, I guess. I would say it's not a problem of whether we should stop it. We need to find a solution and a way to stop this. If you guys want to continue to drink your water, if you want to continue to pay your electric bills in any meaningful way, like you're paying right now, this needs to be stopped. If it's a closed loop system, then it's going to destroy everything around it. If it's an open loop system, it's going to destroy our water supply, and we are all going to be buying our water from Walmart. As far as the federal government being able to regulate how much water we take out of the ground, we don't want that. We don't want the federal government telling us how much water we can have, because if they can tell them, they can tell us. What it falls to is local government, local officials, and your communities coming together and standing shoulder to shoulder to stop these things from happening. That is the only solution. If there's not laws in place, we all need to be going and tracking down the people that are in positions to put those laws in place. This is not a joke. This is a 10-alarm fire. If that data center is built, we will all pay the price.
question. Hi, folks. I'm Jackie. I live in Osage County, but I know that what happens in one place can happen in another place. And so, like Stacy, when I first heard about data centers coming out, I was concerned. So what can we do to stop it? I don't know. In St. Charles, granted, St. Charles managed to stop the building of their data center, but then it moved along on to now they're looking at doing the same thing in Ferguson. But the thing that did effectively stop the build in St. Charles was the Endangered Species Act. They found that there was going to be violations on both the federal and the state level. And so they could not build there. That's that and the community opposition together were what made them move along. So find your favorite turtle. That's, you know, as much as I'm being a little bit facetious, it's the things, it's the acts that are adjacent to technology that are probably going to be most helpful.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Stephanie. So I actually had a question. You mentioned hazardous waste from the closed loop system. Can you touch base on that?
Sure, so hazardous waste, those closed loop systems use PFAS. They use PFAS refrigeration for air cooling. They also use PFAS, they're also known as forever chemicals. They are used in liquid refrigerants as well. When you're looking at data centers, you're also looking at contamination from hexavalent chromium. If any of you guys watched that movie Aaron Brockovich from 20 years ago, that was the contaminant that was causing those cancer clusters in that community. There are also some systems that will use glycol, and when that is not monitored and disposed of properly, that is also a known carcinogen that can cause issues. So it's not, and I'm a chemist, so I'm not here to scare anybody about big scary chemical names at all. Even with PFAS, you can clean it up and remediate it. The problem is it's everywhere and it's bad here, and a data center will make it worse. I am under the impression that Montgomery County has the highest percentage of cancer, or rare cancers in the state.
Wow.
And the health impacts, I don't think that we can underline enough. So thank you, that's a really good question. If I say something wrong, if something that I say turns out, I'm a scientist, so I like the peer review process. I'm the nerd that's okay with being wrong, because that means that I'm learning something. And so,
Where did you get your information about Montgomery having the highest rate of cancer?
let me get back to you. I've read it within the past 3 days, and I don't want to give you the wrong source, but I will look that up and I'll get that back to you. And we got a question back there.
Get my steps in.
Couple things. I've lived in Warrenton my whole life pretty much. I take care of 19 wells in Warren County and St. Charles County. We just did our yearly inspections. The water table is dropping around the area, so we do drawdowns, so it is a real thing. And my biggest concern with this whole project, who keeps the officials in line? Who governs what the city is doing? We know there's several issues with the rezoning, people being notified, the property even being annexed in. Who governs over the city to come in and regulate what has already taken action without hiring a private lawyer to come in and sue the city? How is that governed? Is there somebody at state level that takes care of that?
Your state reps should be involved there. Your state House member and then your state senators also should be the ones who are talking to your aldermen and your force. Ultimately, it's people. It's us who vote them in and out.
So even though that there's Missouri laws or statutes that are being broken, there's nobody to hold them to them statutes?
Your elected officials should be making sure that they are being held to those standards. That is correct.
We also have an ethics committee that
Oh.
will file. So
Yes.
every year we got to file as alderman, we file to the ethics committee. So anytime there's anything unethical, you can file for them to look into something at the state level, and they'll look into what we're doing. So it's the ethics committee for the state of Missouri.
I've got a quick question for you. It has been under my impression that the ethics committee has not had a quorum, so they have effectively not been enforcing much for the past at least 2
Yes.
years. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay.
To my understanding, yes.
Yeah, okay, because we've seen that, we've also seen that as an ethics committee that should be overseeing this, it seems to be asleep at the wheel as well.
So Bob Onder can't petition President Trump to turn off that big beautiful faucet in northern Missouri to bring the water down?
No.
That can't happen? Okay, I was just checking.
No, not legally, no.
I just wanted to share that there were invites to all of our reps. The governor, they were all extended invites to come here and answer your questions. They all had busy schedules. That's what it came down to. The ones that did respond.
And I just want to say kudos to you for showing up.
Yes.
Places. One heartbreaking view I saw was of a community that accepted a data center up in beautiful Wisconsin dairy country. And the community watched in horror as the beautiful green of northern Wisconsin just became dirt and extraction. When you're looking at mining, a lot of the times you're looking at cobalt contamination, and for the geo.
It's a magnetic survey.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then,
so completely harmless.
The surveys, yeah.
The
If you
surveys,
see,
okay.
if you see planes or helicopters, they'll tow an array. It looks like, usually it looks like a square or triangle or something like that.
yeah, and I do know that the planes that have been flying over recently, they have what's called Raman spectroscopy. If you guys ever want to have a great time where I talk to you about detectors used in chemistry, we can spend a couple of hours. But they use these little light sensors that can reflect light to the earth, and then based on the geomagnetic or the composition of the metals in the soil, they can let you know generally what the topography looks like. It's used in space really effectively. Somehow they made a map of all of the state of Missouri and released it nationally. I found out that up in Pike County, my husband's family might be sitting on some titanium deposits or tungsten deposits. But that type of mining, they do use for those metals and also refining, they use forever chemicals.
That's right.
And a lot of people don't know what those are. It happens to be something I'm an expert in just because of my education. I worked with the team that worked with the EPA to create the brand new testing method to test forever chemicals. It's going to be implemented hopefully within the next year where we're testing wastewater because it is a problem that impacts all of us. Forever chemicals are man-made fluorinated chemicals that are used in aqueous firefighting foam, in uniforms worn by our first responders, or people who like camping and don't like to get wet. It's what makes it waterproof. It's on food packaging and your hamburgers at McDonald's. It's also in fluorinated pesticides and some pharmaceuticals. And it is also a key ingredient in mining because you need that man-made fluorine to bust up that rock.
And so in places where mining occurs, you see much more elevated risks of cancer. That's a problem with forever chemicals, is they're forever, they're bioaccumulative, like mercury in fish. So your body keeps building up those chemicals until it gets rid of it. And we know that it causes things like liver lesions, kidney problems, and cancers, particularly in the reproductive tract, among first responders. And that's why many of them need to go and use in vitro fertilization, for example, for their family planning needs later in life. And it's just because forever chemicals can be that harmful. And so also pushing for regulations or monitoring requirements for that chemical in particular may be a route to help them use less harmful things in their
So would that be at
process.
the municipal level or at the state level?
It would be the state level. We could probably pass a municipal ordinance as well too.
Jurisdictions that we have at the municipal level, so we have to kind of be mindful of those.
Got it. And there are going to be some sites, from what I hear, are going to be designated Superfund sites based on their concentration of PFAS. Knowing the general cancer clusters here in this area, I have niece and nephew and some family live out with me too. I would suspect that if you guys were to take some ground soil and water samples yourselves, that may be something that you could start to push our elected officials on as well too, is making sure that that is remediated and moved out of your neighborhood. I got some questions back here.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Beth. Now, I'm Zane from St. Charles, and I was somewhat involved in getting the moratorium on the data center out there. And it's a long, difficult process, and the plans are popping up faster than we can handle them. It feels like we're fighting a hydra that wants to come for our land, our water, our health, our children, our children's health. And it's not a new problem, but we're fighting it on the local level, and we really need something on the federal level to just stop it altogether everywhere, because we can't keep this can't be sustained, this everyone at the same time nonstop going from county to county, making sure that that everyone can drink water. What is your plan to sort of burn the stumps on the hydra and keep heads from popping up and coming after us?
That's a great perspective. Is what is going to be effective is not just coming together in our Missouri communities, because there is power in building those coalitions. It also needs to involve coordinating with other states who are having the same issues, because we are all stronger when we are united together. Regardless of our partisanship, we are all Americans, and as we work with other states who have been able to fight against some of these or limit some of their impact, we will be more successful. I can tell you that we couldn't get the AV set up, but I have members from the coalition out of Michigan that they are very interested in what we're doing here in Missouri, same with over in West Virginia. We got some calls out to the groups out in Pennsylvania and then up in Wisconsin as well too. The idea is to get multi-states working together to come up with a reasonable policy that if we can't stop them all together, that we're finding ways to mitigate them in a way that doesn't take what is our precious farmland here. And that's the thing, they're gonna strip mine us for minerals, but they're gonna ignore the fact that we can grow damn near everything here in Missouri. And we build generations based on that practice. So that is my plan, is to build coalitions, but also to write legislation that has some common sense, that has government transparency and accountability built into it. One of the things that we can do at the federal level is, one of the major reasons we're in this problem is that there is so much money in politics that elected representatives are no longer incentivized to do whatever their constituents want. I believe that making sure that we end Citizens United to get big money out of politics and go to a system where our elected officials are, again, accountable to we the people and not the 1% who is working us to death. I mean, how many of you guys had to take off of work or are here after work to have to convince some big corporations not to poison your land? It's not right. And the only reason it happens is because they cut big checks to your reps, or some of them, and they don't know much about science, they don't really care. All they know is money goes into this campaign bank account, and then they have to say these words. And we should have leaders who can do differently than that. So yeah, that's my plan. Campaign finance reform, as sexy as that sounds, and then building coalitions to make us all stronger as a republic.
Bethany, we've got 3 questions here, here, and then here.
Wow.
But I have one here, and it's, what makes you different than the status quo?
My husband would have some. Yeah. What makes me different than the status quo? Look, guys, I grew up out in Forestell, oldest of 6. I don't come from money at all. My dad served in the Air Force. He served his country with everything that he had, and he still died waiting for a VA bed. I am in it because I believe, because it has impacted me personally, the fact that elected officials will say one thing and then turn around and vote another. And that's what got me involved. And what makes me different is I stick around. I've been running for Congress since 2022. I ran because nobody was running and there didn't seem to be a lot of choices. And I decided I could be that person who just complains a lot on Facebook, or I can step into the fact that I need to be the leadership that I want to see. And if I want to see a toddler mom who's a chemist write laws because a working class mom knows a little bit more about what a working class family needs than a lawyer allergist somewhere, that's why I decided to get involved. So what makes me the difference? You guys have to talk to me and make up your own minds. And I like to be as open as I can and transparent, and I like to follow through. So I don't know, I'm a chemist. I take good notes and I like to follow up.
Hi, my name is Linda, and I have a question. There's several people that I know that live in my city, live in Forestdale, where you live. Do they have to be concerned if we have a data center in Warrenton? Do the other, like Wright City and Incline Village, Forestdale, do they have to be concerned about this? Because maybe we need to gather more of a group of people from other places, and let's have an army against this.
Yes.
We have to be an advocate for our health care.
Absolutely.
And we're all going to suffer the consequences, and I don't want to be that person.
Yes, thank you. And that is very much the ticket to all of this, is bringing more people into the conversation. I mean, numbers still have power. Our voices do still mean something. And when you have a community fighting together for something, you're building that part of the community that gets eroded and taken advantage of by politicians who like to pit us against each other and divide us.
But would a Warrenton data center affect like city water, Forestdale water?
It affects us all.
We all drink from the same water.
Okay, I was just thinking it affected only Warrenton. Okay, thank you.
We're going to leave. Question?
Hi, I'm Abby. I'm from St. Charles. I see Bethany at tons of events, and she talks to people. I back her. I have a question for you using your environmental science. So the element that I researched from Pea Ridge is called yttrium. Are you familiar with that mineral at all?
Yttrium, yes.
From what I read, it says it can cause lung cancer or embolisms, especially with long-term exposure, as well as can cause damage to the liver. Do you think maybe some people are having them and thinking, oh, it's from smoking or it's from working in the mines, I've got emphysema? Could they possibly be misconstruing it when it's actually the yttrium that's a lot of the causes for it, possibly.
That's a very clever question. Yes, it's possible. I mean, I'm not going to sit and make the argument that smoking's great for you, but we know what the exposure is and the impact is of some of these heavy metals and transition metals. Yttrium in particular is used in semiconductor batteries and components. It's a very rare mineral. It's only found in certain pockets in the earth. And that's part of the reason why you're hearing a lot of, oh, well, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Well, yeah, because they want to mine it so that they can sell it for cheap, and they don't really care what happens to the community. They want to be able to mine what they want, make their money, and, you know, if the area community is going to die a little early from preventable cancers, then that's going to make it easier for them to buy up the land. In 2018, when I started getting involved in politics by accident, we were running into a lot of farmers who were very concerned because a lot of their farmland was getting bought up around them. They didn't know what was happening. There was a lot of speculation that it was just the Chinese coming in and buy our farmland. And what we recently discovered is it was actually a venture capital firm. And this venture capital firm had an app that could sell you farmland for pennies on the dollar. They would wait for foreclosures, this big VC firm would buy it up, and then they would sell it over to developers. We saw suicide rates among farmers reach double digits from 2019 all the way to 2021. Just families devastated by just the loss of legacy. And it was really alarming to hear that this has been part of a multi-year plan to take our farmland for cheap, mine it up, and then, you know, we just get used. I think that's a bad plan, but that is what happens when you have such big amounts of money in politics and elected officials. You don't think that they really need to worry about their primaries or their next elections.
We've got one over here.
Oh, yes, dear.
Push the button or anything, or just call this? Maybe you're pissed off this is all even going on. Why we have to be here in the first place. But I'm Tracy, I'm from Osage County too. Stacy's my wife, so a little bit of a disadvantage here. But I just want to make sure that both of them know that if they do get elected, that they're not going to take money from any special interest, and that their heart is in the right place. That's pretty much the only thing I wanted to make sure everybody kind of understood. They're here because they care too. We live here. We drink the water. I know people that drill wells, and they said their kids, they're worried about their kids not having water, and they drill wells every day. So it's pretty serious, and I hope everybody takes it serious. These people care.
I'm gonna go here, and then here, and then here. Okay, here, here, and then that.
I just want to know that company you've done about buying up, okay? That's the one that J.D. Vance has got ownership in?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's it.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Renee. I live off of Highway W in the county, which we have not much representation with here. Oh, sorry.
That's where I was at, Forest Hill, on the Warren County side.
Okay, well, I used to live in Forest Hill. Anyway, did anybody see Bernie Sanders on Facebook? Yep. About he wants a, I can't never say it, moratorium for everybody. Because he is worried about how it's all coming around. So that is something maybe we need to enforce it. I'm not saying that I really like Bernie that much, but this I'm backing him on.
You were late. We already talked about it.
Oh, you did? Oh, sorry. And the other question is, if we require restrictions on the AI data centers, what kind of guarantees are we going to have that they're going to enforce them?
Yes, you're elected officials and people, right? We have to make consequences that stick, and that involves our elected officials. It means making sure that we have judges who act with integrity and in the best interests for the people. It does.
kind of comes down to us to stop what's happening in our community. There's not a hero coming in on a white horse coming to save us. We've got to work together and be smart about how we fight this. Yes?
It's up to us to make sure that our leaders follow the law.
All right, so I have a couple of questions. First one, you talked about cobalt, the other contaminants. How much sanitation does it require to help problems that you're saying that they do?
Sure. So on cobalt, I don't know for sure. I'd have to look up the data sheets on that.
Do you know about yttrium?
Yttrium, I don't, and I can find out.
Okay.
What I do know is forever chemicals are harmful in parts per quadrillion, which is a teeny amount. And many of the studies that the EPA did in testing 9 different kinds of streams, everything from car wash runoff to hospital runoff to wastewater to ag processing, pharmaceuticals. We were finding them in wastewater in some cases percent levels. In Georgia, for example, it was just released that they found enough, or the concentrations of forever chemicals were high enough in Georgia that 35% of the population qualified for emergency intervention for their own public health. And so we know that even in teeny tiny amounts, forever chemicals cause cancer. Percent levels really speed that along, and we're seeing in real time impacts on reproductive health for men and women as well.
My other question is, you're talking about mines. Are they just mining the existing mines, or is Missouri opening new mines?
They're open for business.
Do you know how many more mines they have opened or are planning to?
I don't know the exact answer. I know the general consensus is drill, baby, drill. Because they do see this as a once in a lifetime. Nobody's going to go and extract that yttrium and sell it to semiconductor suppliers.
I actually had a quick thing.
Yeah.
So Forever Chemicals, I used to work for a big company. Forever Chemicals are in everywhere.
Yes.
And they're terrible. I don't want to negate them, but I do want to talk about the problems of them. They're not just in data centers. They're not just in this. They're in a lot of the household things
That we know of who did not have forever chemicals in their body was a soldier that they returned from Korea. So everybody's got a level. What they have seen in parts of Europe, though, where they are a little ahead of the curve in testing and also remediation, which means you can go in and you can actually clean it up. They are removing it from drinking water, and then they also have a mechanism to take care of it in the air. They can capture, collect, and destroy gas that is burned in the air. And we are also learning that forever chemicals are now excreted in breast milk, so it will poison our future generations. And you're right, you don't want to get super
little. I don't want people to feel like mining is terrible. I don't want them to feel like drilling is terrible. I don't want them to feel like some particular industries are horrible when they're done ethically.
Absolutely.
And that's what we have to talk about, is legislation that keeps these things ethical, not making people afraid of these industries. So that's what I want to talk about more, is how do we make data centers, mining, how do we create legislation that makes them ethical?
Yes.
For the people that live around them, and for the businesses that operate them.
Yeah. I think
Take the money out.
We have a question.
We all have to have money though, right? Like, we all have to eat.
Don't have to be billionaires.
You're correct, we do not have to be billionaires, but we all have to
pay your own way.
We have a question right here, Bethany.
Pay your own way. All right.
Thank you. First, I hope the people that are in charge, our aldermen and elected officials, are open-minded to everything they hear here and elsewhere, rather than being closed-minded, shaking your head, not taking it in, because I think we all need to be open-minded. So taking us back to probably why most of us are here tonight, how can we stop it? So if it gets back to St. Charles was able to stop it because there was a species. If that species is a bat, what are our next steps?
The only other remedy that I have is what I had given you guys. If you're not happy with your representation, then you need to do something about it. If the majority, I believe you will need 25% of whoever was voting. If they feel like you were that unhappy with me as your representative.
It's not that, it's the bat.
It's the bat. That's right, guys, it's the
I don't
bat.
give a shit about who's elected for what. How do we stop it?
It is saying.
Did you, I know she said there was one on concrete, there's one on the site, then you can stop on that site.
You could stop in the whole county, or you could stop just on that?
On the site. So you have to prove that it's on that site.
And that it is on that site.
Plus acres.
All right, we've got one over here.
It takes an environmental survey that is looking for that specific animal or plant, because some plants do.
Go into the Missouri Department of Conservation, there's 45 in Missouri currently. So, you know, I just, like I said, I don't have all the answers, that's why I'm here. I'm hoping to be educated along with you guys. I expressed my concerns, I think a lot of people have those same concerns. Bethany wouldn't be here tonight if she didn't have those same concerns. So I think collectively as a group, we're all just kind of looking for answers of what do we do?
Yeah, and I think another thing, I love the recall petition idea. That is effective. That will get some reps to worry about their primary. That is a great idea because it gives the community a fun way to do something bat related and make it internet popular, say bats works with the kids. And then, you know, the other thing too is sometimes you have to speak the same language that your reps speak, and that generally is money. One of the things that we could talk about is trying to attack or to attract businesses that will produce for us instead of take away from us. So maybe countering with a better economic proposal for other types of development may be something that could be helpful as well too.
We have huge choices coming up in the midterms, and there are lots of issues. And with all of these issues that we have, there's lots of people that do have opinions, and we value those opinions. But our choices are, do we send Bob Onderpack in, or do we bring Bethany Mann, or do we let Bob Onder continue with the status quo? She's running for this position, and he's in this position. And that's one of the purposes of our town hall tonight. And so if we can sort of stay on, this is an important topic, but if we can stay on that and because a lot of people here are really interested in finding out what Bethany Mann is going to do to change Washington for you. So we have a question here. Thank you.
I thought this was about data centers, but
Amen.
Since we're talking about you, I got a question for you as well. A couple, actually. My first question would be, who is it that we need to recall that is voting for this?
Just listen to the last meeting.
Last night?
Start at your local level. Board of Alderman meeting. Yep. Yeah, last
Okay.
night. Listen to it.
Okay.
Okay. So, Mr. Chandler is right. There isn't a way to say no to stuff just because we want to. The thing is, we had a Dollar General in our neighborhood, and the people who lived in our neighborhood didn't want it. The Board of Aldermen tried to just vote no because the people didn't want it. And the city got sued. They got sued, and the Board of Aldermen were told that if they did not vote yes, and this was by a judge in the state of Missouri, they were told if they did not vote yes, that they would be sued personally. At the municipal level, there are not real ways to say no. We have to just create restrictions. That's where we're at.
So you got sued because you didn't have the ordinance in place.
There was no reason. They used safety
If
as
it would
their
have been in
concern to
place,
say no.
But that's my question, is pretty, just yes or no. If you would have had the proper ordinance in place, would you have been sued?
The
Yes.
ordinance for what?
Clearly, they found a loophole.
What, I'm sorry.
And also,
The
if
loophole-
your attorney
what-
allowed you to get sued, why would he be leading you in the correct direction
as far as the things that went on last night?
I think I'm unclear in what ordinance you would be looking for there.
If the city had been proactive and not reactive and made sure, I don't even live in the city, just so everybody knows, so that you could have that ordinance set, that you did have a way to keep Dollar General from coming there. And I understand, they're doing the same thing all across the country, but you are looking at the same project, so you can get steamrolled again, or we can do something about it.
What ordinance do you think would exist to create Dollar General?
I'm not in the government for a reason.
No, it was properly zoned. It was zoned in a way that Dollar General was allowed to be there.
So Dollar General.
That's what got me involved. Hold on, just one, sorry. That's what got me involved from the get-go, was I got pissed off because my neighborhood, I'm in the front of there. And I'm like, I don't want a Dollar General. We have one 5 minutes down the dang road. The problem is that it's properly zoned. It's zoned in a way that Dollar General could show up. So I got involved, my neighbors got involved, a lot of neighborhoods, we showed up, we made our complaints very obvious to our alderman, who said, you're right, we don't think there is enough room for what we're trying to do. Like, yes, the Dollar General could be on this land, but there are certain, criteria, right? And Dollar General asked, so they said no. And we were like, yes, we won the fight. But then Dollar General came back and said, no you didn't, because we're properly zoned. We can be there. You can't say no because it's zoned the way it should be.
So who zoned it that way?
That's why, it's an industrial, or it was a commercial zone. It's a commercial property.
But that's the same situation you're sitting at right now, is you have rezoned.
Yes.
Without proper, okay, I'm just speaking in general terms. It was rezoned without proper notification. That's been proven by the city. It was rezoned as an industrial lot in the middle of agricultural rural area. So the planning and zoning set the stage for this nightmare.
Correct.
That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not arguing. I'm saying you have to have rules to enforce, or we end up like this. That's what I'm trying to say. Also, be a little more scared of your residents suing you as you are Dollar General.
I'm gonna.
Because it is starting to get collected. Then the lawyer, again, I'm not a lawyer.
Because I'm going to lose my home. I just bought it 6 weeks ago. No one told me about a data center going in 5 acres from my lot that's going to take all my water. And yes, you city representatives, you represent me. I am a voter, you represent me. You are to block these big corporate companies. You are to protect our land, our water, to keep us from getting sick. Look at everybody that died from Westlake landfill that's getting thousands of dollars right now because their mom and dads all died. I grew up in Francis Howell. The joke was that we glowed during high school.
I went to Francis Howell as well.
And so, yeah, we glowed. That was the joke. Don't drink the water because you glowed because of the nuclear plant.
And they used Geiger counters in the school to test the water in the water fountains.
Yeah,
My cousins went there.
right. And so the Warrenton alderman and mayor have the authority, to stop this, or otherwise, why do we have a mayor? Why are you getting paid?
It was zoned industrial because Steve Etcher wanted it endorsed, rezoned that way, and he was also invited tonight and failed to respond.
And he renewed his contract too.
Last night they gave $22,000 of your tax dollars.
I know, but this is so.
And you know what? I have to sit through these city meetings and not be allowed to speak, and that is not what is going to happen here.
So I'm gonna clarify some stuff. The reason that we got sued by Dollar General is because it was permitted use. So with permitted use, we got very little we could say on what they can do. If they check the boxes on permitted use, it gets passed. We can't just say no there.
But you changed what it was. It was agriculture land.
That was by the property owner's request. The property owner said he wanted it industrial. This would be for my time too.
I want to grow marijuana on my land too, but that's not legal.
It's a cash crop.
Well,
you can have
You can have five. If the property owner wants something rezoned, then we have a public hearing.
But it was not held. Everything was not in line and not every neighbor was notified. And that's
And still not. I have to be aware that
She has the paperwork for that. We're looking into that. So that is.
And we agree, we thank you for coming, but we're not gonna do this back and forth.
And we're not notified, so to say we were involved in it is not true. We were not notified when it was rezoned, so we were not given the opportunity to stand up and speak in front of you guys. And when I brought it to you over a year ago, everybody laughed in my face and said, oh, get a lawyer. Because nobody cared, it was rezoned without following Missouri statutes, and that's why the first question I asked was, hey, how do you stop this without hiring a lawyer? Because we're at the point where you hire a lawyer, pay him $25,000 to walk in and tell you guys are wrong. And that's what's crazy is, you know it's wrong. I've talked to city officials, they know it's wrong. And they will tell you they did it wrong, but they will not undo what they did.
Accountability. There's none of it.
Like I said, she has paperwork. We're going to look into that part of it.
Talk to Mr. Struckoff. John Struckoff said they did it wrong, but they're not going to undo anything.
I will ask John that. But I wanted to say, as of last night, we did vote to get this conditional use. Conditional use gives us more authority to tell these data centers, this is how we want it. If you can't do that, we're going to vote no.
100 feet.
Bring it to us the way we want it.
No, that's
That's a minimum.
Industrial standard.
Conditional use, I can tell 500 feet.
And this is supposed to be for the residents, and we heard the CUP
Sales pitch multiple times. Talk to people around here and ask how the CUP protects them when the current board isn't in there and they get screwed. Because that's what's going to happen, and I know you brought it up. And Mr. Corder, if you go back and watch, says, I can't be worried about 5 years from now.
Yes.
Well, how nice is that? Because we can be. I'm not arguing. I'm stating that I'm thankful that you showed, you and both Alderman Waite, showed to actually show accountability. So this doesn't need to be a shouting match.
I know.
This is just for these people.
This is just his regular voice, by the way.
Yeah.
So you know, I know.
Yeah, this is how
Yeah,
I know.
this is for the residents to be heard, is what she's trying to say.
Yes.
Not for you.
So I don't want this, we are limited enough when we go to these meetings that those comments are put at the beginning, which is, I know, other people have recommended that it not be that way, because when you do that, you force us to speak about things before we watch what you do to us. So I would suggest that as it all comes up, maybe those comments come after these things are presented. Also, maybe you provide those bills at inspection for the planning and zoning, like you stated on, again, not you, and he is a great advocate. This is just the way that I speak. He has been one of the best advocates for questions I've asked. I get a response. Alderman Waite as well, but I probably pick on him more. I'm not gonna lie. And sometimes I get set straight.
Forum town hall at the city level or the county level.
They won't let you say nothing.
My question is it still,
I say he may be having open forums.
light industrial?
It's still light industrial.
Yeah, but
So
you're
data centers are,
like you're not allowed.
so data centers are very much a gray area. But because last night we voted for it to be conditional use. Yes, the 100 feet minimum on a setback, that's a minimum. That is not the standard. That is a minimum that if the next board comes in and they don't want to say no, they don't want to ask questions and make demands, they can't go less than 100 feet for a generator or field storage. They cannot. With the data center, I want to ask them to do a lot more than 100 feet. I have that right because it's conditional use.
Okay.
But the next board will say, we all get voted out, there's new people in the alderman.
Last night.
It can't go back to 25 feet. It can't go back to 50 feet. 100 feet is the minimum, not the standard.
You have the right that property was rezoned and it was done improperly. You have the right to pull that up and changed the rezoning on that property, then we wouldn't be in this issue of a data center or not. I don't think anybody in this room would be mad if it's a Lowe's or Home Depot or something in the community.
Let's go ahead and let Bethany's try to interject here.
We'll go on to some other, we want to go on to some other questions. We want to hear from as many people as possible. And I just want to say once again, thank you for showing up to be accountable, to talk. It seems like you guys are clearly doing your research and you're trying to do what you can, even though the way that the system is set up right now is a little limited. And sometimes, like with Dollar General, you don't know what you don't know until
Right.
it kind of gets
But with a
there.
commercial business like that, it's permitted use more time than traditional.
Well, it's just
We can't just say no because we don't like it on a permitted use.
Thank you
Which
for
is why
coming.
we changed that condition.
And please turn in.
Bethany, you asked my vote, I have another obligation.
There's,
Thank you for being here. Thank you. And thank you to all who showed up as well, too.
Yes.
Another thing we have in your packet is,
I have it.
okay, good. This.
Bethany, you have a question right here.
Oh,
We have
I've got
a
it.
question.
Oh, question.
All right, so I have a couple questions. Is the Montgomery City and Warren County thing the same issue?
It appears that there are two different data centers, from what I understand.
Within a 5-mile radius.
Yes.
Within a
We're
what?
all in the same water.
Okay, so they are two different centers. Okay. Three? Okay.
A meta and a data in New Florence, east of 70, north and south, and the data center here.
This goes back to your question about whether neighboring cities should be worried. Recently, when they put in, I think it was Senate Bill 4 that provided some protections against the large scale, the hyperscale data centers, those protections apply to data centers that watts or more. What they are capable of doing, though, is putting in a 99 megawatt center, move 10 miles down the line, have transmission lines, put in another 99 megawatt center, and just kind of chain them together. So that's where the problem comes in. You have far less consumer protections than you think you might.
Bethany, Chris has another question.
Yeah.
All right.
So let's go ahead.
Questions on it. So
If you have a comment, let's sort of, if you talk this way, let's talk this way.
Okay.
Thank you.
I personally think we talk a lot about the elected officials, and I agree with them that their hands are tied in these type of situations with these issues, like the whole Dollar General. I look at it on the side of if that business owner that owned that piece of property wanted to get it indexed as another type of zoning, then that's his prerogative or their prerogative as the owner of that property to do so. I guarantee you they had a buyer for that property before they even did that. That's why they did it. So it's about financial gain with that. So, but the planning and zoning, the aldermen, they do have their hands tied with these things. And a lot of people say that they're responsible and we can vote them out of office and do that. That's useless. That's trying to, we can piss up a rope and get more results out of it. The problem is that nobody's addressing tonight is besides the waste and the environment, the pollution, nobody has mentioned anything about the electric and Ameren coming in and why Ameren was so excited about this a year ago and why this property, is it true that this property was annexed over a year ago and nobody knew what was going on with it, quote unquote, we don't know nothing about it? That's BS. But Ameren over in Illinois just this past year wanted to raise rates 55% on their people, and the state of Illinois said, no, we'll give you 25%, but not 55%. So they ended up settling for that. We just see the rates going on now with Ameren Utilities giving everybody in this area more electric. If they think that these data centers are going to come in and use an exorbitant amount of energy and we are not going to pay the price of it, that's the bigger problem than worrying about what the extraction pollution is going to come out of this closed cooling system, because they're going to raise our rates and then we're not going to be able to pay the bills because we're paying $700-800 for an electric bill and all the infrastructure that they're putting in. And I think that I read somewhere that Ameren has it configured to where a lot of these rates up to a certain wattage can be cost effective for them, but then the rest of it gets turned back to the consumers in that whole area. And that's where you're going to see anybody in Forestell, Wright City, Warren County, anyone in that grid of using Ameren is going to pay the money for it. That's the problem.
No, you're precisely right. Electric bills and the day-to-day, particularly with utility costs, are going to rise. I got a note here that is an interesting idea that I hadn't considered before, but Missouri is one of the rare states where we have what is called an initiative petition process, where we the people can put on in our state's constitution whatever we want. There are some signature thresholds that you have to meet within certain counties. Some people here may have more information on exactly how many, but a petition process, that could be something that we could talk about to put into our constitution. And then the other thing too that I thought about is a lot of these data centers are talking about all the jobs that they will create. One thing that we can do when we're writing some of our policy is to make sure that some of these bills have prevailing labor agreements that make sure that we are using a certain percentage of union labor and that the workers who are on those projects have that security. That's another mechanism of another piece of sand you could throw in the ears. And I hadn't thought about petition process, so whoever's anonymously wrote this on a note, thank you.
A question.
Okay, Alderman Lang, I have a question for you. So, with this particular situation with the data center, okay, proposed, if let's say for the moment that the board turns it down, would we have the same situation that we had with Dollar General? Could they come back and sue the city saying, hey, you know, or is that something that?
They could try. It's going to be a lot harder since it is conditional use. The reason it's so easy for Dollar General is because it's permitted use. You check the boxes, you get everything the way the ordinance is read, you're good. We say no, they tell us to F off, essentially.
That was the lesson learned from
Yeah.
the Dollar General debacle.
Which is why it was important for us last night to get that voted for conditional use.
With the jobs created by the data center, it's only temporary. It's only in the construction. No one works in the giant black boxes with no lights. They don't need people except for maintenance and short-term things. What's that? Yeah, nothing significant. Now, I wanted to ask you, to be honest, I don't trust Democrats at this point, and what you're saying right now sounds very good to me, right? Where do you stand on other, like, main voting issues?
Oh, let's not do that. This is about data centers.
That's what she asked that we talk to her about, actually.
Right.
On top of the data center, so.
She did.
Yeah.
You know, I hear what you're saying. In general, I like to focus on the things that we have in common. I'm from around this area. I think my core issues are environmental. I think that our water should be clean and free. Our air that we have for our kids should be clean too. I'm actually a small government liberal. I don't like the government involved into all of my personal business, making medical decisions and dictating what I can do. I like the government to get out of the way and make sure that there are fair markets where not just corporations are successful, but that the small to medium mom and pop producers make some money too. And in general, what I see is we've got 13 to 15 billionaires that are doing pretty well in this country, and they do a really good job of pitting us workers against each other. So in a time, I am also a disillusioned Democrat. I was raised very Republican, and I tend to be more the middle of the road. And you know, I am who I am, so I can't not stand for certain things. But when it comes down to it, we are all Americans, and I think there are more things that bring us together than pull us apart.
And a 13 to 15 billionaires sure make a lot of money when we are fighting each other.
Yeah. One last thing I wanted to say was we got on a tangent about the semiconductors and mining and everything. We can stop the data centers being here. We can move them other places. These mines for semiconductors with all of the different materials that we need, with all the geopolitical stuff that's going on around Taiwan and everything, we don't really have a choice. It's on a federal level. They're going to mine it. We're all just going to have to eat it. That's the truth of the matter. Is 99 or 98% of all this stuff is all done in a place that's about to be taken over by one of our enemies in the next couple of years. At least that's what we think. They're going to mine here. We're all just going to have to eat that whole. But we don't have to live next to these data centers. We don't have to have them anywhere near us. I don't think that we should have them at all. But if they're going to force us to do it, we should not plant them in our backyards where it's going to poison us. That's it. You have to stop it. So if getting sued is something that's going to change whether you are going to stand against it or not, then you shouldn't be standing against it. Someone else should be. Because this is our lives. This is our future. This is our children. If you either stand against it or you get washed away. That's it.
Yep.
You cannot fear the repercussions of doing the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say, I am really surprised to hear that your state reps are allowing these types of threats against a constituency, that we're going to sue your aldermen, the people you elected, because you elected them, so your alders and residents can be sued. I think China just announced a lawsuit against us.
Yeah.
And they call us a grave danger, and part of the reason is because some of the pushback that we're seeing against data centers, because some of those projects are financed by foreign companies. There's no nice way to put that.
Just a couple more questions, we're running out of time, so we'll make sure.
Sure, and these are all really good questions, and I want to say if there's something that we haven't covered that maybe we're embarrassed to ask, or if you just didn't want to ask in front of people, your neighbors, that's okay too. We've got those cards, drop them off with Jenna up here in the front, and we'll make sure that we get answers to you.
I don't recall who said it. I don't know if it was you or if it was more back here where someone had said for every 10 ChatGPT like that you're requesting, it's a gallon of water. Is that accurate?
Yes. Yeah. And I will make sure that we get your email address, and we will send you the presentation. It's got some data on that, as well as some of the other impacts, as well as electricity rates that show what they are seeing in other parts of the electorate. I know that Northern Virginia is seeing a lot of those data centers. Let's see, what are some of our main states? Northern Virginia, Oregon, Iowa, Arizona, Michigan, Nebraska, and Illinois. And the other countries that I have that we're now seeing data centers pop up are out in, say, Beijing and Dublin and Shanghai. So we are seeing more data centers here in the U.S. than some of the other countries that have those minerals as well.
I know, like, what was it?
Oregon's, they have showed a 99% increase just in their energy usage since the data centers have been built. So, and that's all on a PowerPoint presentation as well.
Yeah, and we're also hearing the same types of, there is one particular developer who is very good about suing residents who get in the way. And so that is something that we are also seeing in other states that are being used to intimidate people into acceptance. So yes, we'll be happy to give you that, get you that information, and then if you have any other follow-up questions to that, please reach out.
We have a question here.
All right.
My name is Reva, and I've lived in Warrenton for just a couple of years. And first, I want to thank Alderman Lane and Alderman Wade for letting us know that you guys have gone out and done research and, you know, have reached the conclusions when you look at all of the pros and the cons of the data centers, that it's not a good thing. And my question to you, Alderman Lane, is as a group of aldermen, do you all have sessions where you get together as we are in this room, talking about the pros and the cons and the concerns and that kind of thing?
So any of our sessions like that has to be publicized. We have to let you know if we're going to meet more than if we make a quorum, which is 4 of us. That could be 3 aldermen and the mayor, or 4 aldermen. We have to let you know. So if you don't see that it's posted somewhere that we meet, we don't meet. We meet twice a month, and that's the Board of Aldermen meetings. Unless there's a workshop that is posted, or a scheduled, like, planning meeting, budget meeting, which those are also posted. Outside of that, we do not meet. We don't have group chats. We don't all just get together and figure this out. We do it in the public's eye. We have to by law.
Well, I thought that that was the case, but it just seems so unusual. You know, would you think that everybody, each of the aldermen, do their own research into this?
Yes, they all do their research.
So they do say that they do their research but not discussing what their view is on the different
To the outside
aspects.
meeting, we can't really discuss that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
But you can publicize and have an open forum meeting with the
Yes, but
public.
we have to schedule that
Right.
ahead of time. And let
Without the
public know.
2-minute regulations, without the typical town hall regulations of somebody speaking, you can.
More of a workshop. is what we call
Exactly,
it.
but you can amend those things to make it an open forum for the public, to
Yes.
speak their mind. As
Most
long as
workshops
it's
are just the aldermen going back and forth on things. We can, per request, have it where the public can come speak. We had that over the summer about fireworks, where the public spoke, and we all talked about it ourselves as aldermen.
Ladies, we really appreciate you coming, and we really appreciate, this is a passionate, I can tell this is a passionate topic that everybody has, and everybody's affected by that, and we appreciate the value that's placed here. I just want to give each one of you a chance to close tonight with your closing remarks.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for coming out. And like I said, if you guys have any questions, you can reach out to us and we'll come in at one point with more of this information so that you guys can see what we put together. And again, just reach out with more questions and we'll just continue working together and trying to figure out how we can move forward.
And I just want to say thank you to Stacey Bax right here and her terrific group of volunteers who helped me put some of this information together and help coordinate the town hall. You know, our government, our republic works better when we hear from, when we all as a community get involved, we participate, and we hold our leaders accountable. And it is so refreshing to see the elders here tonight fighting for your community. Thank you for what you're doing so far. And thank you for being willing to be out here and be accountable. And for all you who come to so many different meetings and haven't had a forum to speak your mind, I want you to know that we're going to hold this again with some working AV. And that's more my fault than anybody's. I'm incredibly grateful that you all came out. We are in some interesting times. There are powers that be that want to divide us. When we come together, we are stronger. Any information, if you've left your email address, you'll get a copy of the presentation that we wanted to share today. In about 2 weeks or after the holidays, we're gonna have a group meeting. If you wanna meet sooner, we can do a virtual meeting too. And then my next step is I'm gonna be bringing in my Michigan crew to talk about their experience, and you are all invited to that. So this is all about transparency and bringing you guys in to be part of the solution. And if there are questions, you know, and that's how we come up with how to stop it, is all of us getting together in a group, because collectively we're smarter than the chemist or the engineer or the data center sales guy. And we will find ways to stop it. So I just want to thank you all for your time. If there's anything that we missed, please write them onto a card. Our intention is to have a website put up where you can see our information, you can ask questions, and then you can also share your experience and your story if you would like that as well too. So thank you for your time and attention tonight.